Good morning. I'm Mo Ivory in for Roland Martin. Today on NewsOne Now, we are 1 week away from the midterm elections. Will the Democrats be able to hold on to the Senate? That is the big question. If not, how will it affect you? Backlash as some U.S. states enact a mandatory 21-day quarantine for now any travelers who had contact with Ebola patients in West Africa. Also, part 2 of our exclusive interview with R&B diva Chante Moore. Plus, season 5, I'm excited about this. Winner of The Voice, Tessanne Chin, joins us to talk about her latest single. All that and more coming up next on NewsOne Now. It's election time. A new poll shows likely voters prefer a Republican-controlled Congress after next week's election. An NBC News Wall Street Journal Annenberg poll reports 52% of likely voters prefer the GOP to run Capitol Hill, while 40% prefer Democrats be in charge. It's scary, folks. Please vote. 53% say they feel less favorable toward the Democratic Party, while 40% feel the same way about Republicans. And among independent voters, only 15% say they're viewing Democrats in a more positive light. 46% feel less positive. You know, this underscores the importance of these elections. Let's talk about it with my panel. I'm really excited. Cornell Brooks, president of the NAACP, is here. Stephanie Brown James, CEO of Vestige Strategies, LLC, and Huey Newsome with Project 21. I wake up every morning and I'm wondering what the hell is going on with the Democrats, because it is really scary to think that it is going to be a Republican-controlled Congress. So coming up, we are going to, talk about all of these things. What, Cornell, you had a very important organization, the NAACP. So what are you thinking about these numbers that are coming out only 1 week away from Election Day, about what's going to happen these next 2 years?
Well, this election only underscores the point that the African-American vote is critically important. That is to say, when we have the first election in a generation without the protection of the Voting Rights Act, where it is widely noted about the favorability rating of the president that is low. Less widely noted is the high unfavorability rating of Congress.
Oh, so bad.
So the point being here is we've got to energize and get people excited about getting out to vote, because the consequences are profound. In other words, whoever controls Congress controls the ability to fix or leave unfixed that is broken the Voting Rights Act.
So, Stephanie, why when there is such a low favorability rating for Congress, does it seem that seems to energize Republicans to get out and vote, but sort of demoralizes Democrats and makes them think, well, nothing's going to get done anyway, and then we don't turn out as much? Why?
It's really interesting. I feel as though this is almost the midterm election that wasn't happening next week, because there hasn't been a lot of national narrative about the importance of this midterm election. I think even though we have a very energized Republican base, we have and also very energized Democratic base who understands that kind of slow and steady is the way to go, and so they're out there on the ground pushing. But what cannot be lost in this conversation is the issues. If the Republicans get in control of the Senate, we know that one of their first acts is going to be the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Totally. That's going to have horrible consequences for the American people, especially African Americans, as Mr. Brooks mentioned. And so there are real issues that are at hand, and it's up to really the African American community to continue to be that strong voting bloc to make sure that our issues that we care about, from raising the minimum wage to making sure we have sentencing reform, actually happen.
Budget.
Absolutely.
The budget, which will be a huge thing that the Congress will have to deal with when, this election is over. Huey, so far, they say that over 7 million early voters have gone to the polls. Yeah. Normally a good indication, because African Americans usually do early vote. If we're out there voting, right? Yeah. We can look at those numbers and we can say, well, maybe this is good. But then when we see, I just looked at a poll listing this morning of some of the key races, and the Republicans are still up.
Yeah. There's one thing we're missing here. I think, looking at the ACA, looking at Voting Rights Act, you know, there's one thing we're missing. I don't think the Democrats have given African Americans a good enough message of why should you vote for us. I mean, you think about the Affordable Care Act. Well, it's going to be impossible for the Republicans to repeal it anyway because the president's still going to be in the White House. So what is the narrative? What is the message that Democrats are offering to African Americans that's real, that says vote for us? And at this point, the Democrats are, you know, besides themselves, running away from the president of the United States, which is very ironic because, you know, 4, 5, 6 years ago they were running towards him. So it's really interesting. There's the narrative that Democrats are offering isn't clear at all. What is the value proposition that they're offering for African Americans?
Huey, I have heard that argument a lot, though, Cornell. I mean, I have heard that argument in almost what I feel like has been every election. The Democrats and the National Democratic Party does not have a unified narrative. They're not saying the things that would make African Americans say, well, oh, I want to get up and vote. You know, the unique thing about President Obama was in his first run, you know, he was able to mobilize in a way that we haven't seen happen yet. What are organizations like the NAACP doing to sort of change that narrative or to make it stronger that makes me as an African American want to get up and say, you know what, I'm going to get involved in this one?
Well, the NAACP is saying very clearly that if you believe in having access to affordable health care, quality health care, and health care that is affordable, we have that now. We haven't had that heretofore.
Sure.
If you believe that your right to vote should be unfettered and unrestricted, then you need to show up to the polls and vote. And so the point being here is, while and the NAACP is a nonpartisan organization, but we want to note here, you have one set of political figures essentially arguing for policies that don't favor the majority of the country, while they push for strategies to keep people from voting.
Okay, so what I think I hear you saying, Cornell, is sort of a reminder of the progress we have made. Because, yeah, so many times we're not remembering what has gotten better.
That's exactly it. When we look at the unemployment rate going down, when we look at the fact that we have an Affordable Care Act, when we look at the fact that the economy seems to be moving in the right direction, when we look at the fact that we are concerned about ISIS, but we're not waging a war on two fronts.
Yeah, we're gonna talk more about this. There's so much to talk about around the election. And right now, coming up, to quarantine or not to quarantine, that is the question that's causing a heated debate all across the country when it comes to Ebola. R&B diva Chante Moore breaks it down, love music and making money beyond the stage in part 2 of our exclusive interview. Plus, rising star Tessian Chin talks about life after winning season 5 of The Voice. Hit me up with your thoughts on Twitter at NewsOne or at Mo Ivory or on our NewsOne Facebook page. It's 7 after the hour. For the first time in 8 years, Republicans could be on the brink of taking control of the Senate. The NBC Marist poll taken over the weekend showed Republican Senate candidates with a slight inside the margin advantage in the 3 of the hardest fought contests for Democratic-held seats. That's Arkansas, Colorado, and Iowa. North Carolina is a dead heat. In Arkansas, Republican Tom Cotton is 2 points ahead of Democrat Mark Pryor, 45% to 43%. In Colorado, Republican Cory Gardner and Democrat Mark Udall are almost tied with Representative Gardner, leading 46% to 45%. And in Iowa, Republican Senate candidate Joni Ernst leads Democrat Bruce Braley 49% to 46%. Also, according to the NBC Marist poll, the Democrats' biggest challenge is President Obama's lack of popularity. How can this be true? Let's go directly to our panel. Cornell William Brooks, president of the NAACP, Stephanie Brown James, CEO of Vested Strategies LLC, and Huey Newsome with Project 21. If there is anything that makes me more crazy during an election, is Democrats distancing themselves from President Obama and not telling the story of the accomplishments that he's had over these last 6 years. It makes me crazy because that's like lining up with your family members and then saying, that's not my mama. Yeah. I mean, really, it's so. Stephanie, tell me what you wanted to say something about that.
Well, you know, I think we have to say that I think President Obama is still wildly popular with the African American community,
yes.
And so it is in the best interest of candidates, no matter what side they are, to really support the president, because at least in the black community. But I just want to get back to Huey's point about the Democrats not really giving a message strong enough to compel voters, especially black voters, to come vote at the polls. And I think that's true on both parties. The Democrats and the Republicans both have not had a very compelling narrative to say why we need to vote. But at the end of the day, you need to vote because of you. You need to vote for
Self-interest.
your self-interest.
That's
You know,
exactly right.
there's more than just the Democrats and Republicans and this widely, discussed notion of how big politics is local. So you're voting for city council, you're voting for your school board, and also there's still history to be made. I mean, in Ohio, you have Nina Turner, who's running for Secretary of State.
Yes.
She would be the first black person to win statewide.
In Georgia, you have the 5 women
Yes,
that all together are
absolutely.
running for, which makes me so proud
Yes.
as an African-American woman that they got together. They said, we're going to run, and they're doing great. And hopefully, there'll be some change there in the Deep South. So,
Right. Yeah.
I definitely understand. Local is as important
Absolutely.
as federal. So, what were you going to say?
Yeah, all politics are local, but to your point, I think there are two sides to it. Yeah, you need to make sure your voice is heard, but at the same time, make sure you're getting something for your vote, and that's make sure that there isn't an automatic pull for one particular party. Put yourself up for grabs and see to it that people are able to vouch for or at least fight for your vote. That's the key, and I think that what we are seeing in 2014. Everybody knows that African Americans still love the president. Everybody knows that. So why is it that Democrats en masse are running away from him? It's almost like we're taking your vote for granted. That's a very strong message, and it's a very dangerous message. And I think we as African American voters really need to take pause.
I think to your point about the importance of local races and local politics. Think about Ferguson, Missouri. You have a group of Democratic office holders who, in a small town, in the middle of a global civil rights crisis, have a set of policies that have disturbed the public. So you have literally thousands of young people in the streets demanding for accountability in terms of the police force. They're demanding justice for Michael Brown. But the point being here is we've got to show up to vote in local elections, off-year elections. And we've got to demand from Democrats and Republicans policies that make a difference. And so the point being is, it's not a matter of automatically electing Republicans or Democrats, but rather people who are going to deliver for you.
Right, but I think so many Americans, because of this historic presidency of President Obama's, like you even say that, overwhelmingly black people support President Obama. I, as a black person, don't just support him because I'm black. I support him because now I have health care, right? I support him because of the job numbers. I support him because of what has happened. So I think that it's important in the messaging. We talked before about the lack of messaging and how the messaging and the narrative is not really popular or resonating with African American voters, but it's really about getting that information about the successes. That's what needs to happen to people, so they're not shying away from a candidate that is Democratic and also shying away from the president. They for themselves can say, oh, you know what? These policies that President Obama has put in place have helped me, and I want my senator to further those kind of policies and the things that are going to happen going forward. Huey, I see you dying to say something.
Yeah, if it was that simple, then why is it that he's so unpopular? So there's some.
Well, he's so unpopular with a portion. He's not so unpopular everywhere.
He's
unpopular.
underwater. He's underwater.
No, he is not. I disagree with that completely.
Okay.
I do not believe that he's underwater. I think that his polling in certain regions and in other regions are stronger, and the way it's presented would make it seem that he is unpopular everywhere, and that is just not the case.
Yeah. So he's no less popular than Congress. I mean, we need to be clear about
absolutely.
that. Congress is more unpopular.
Okay. Well, I mean,
deeply more unpopular.
Right.
Again, when you have $100,000 posters running around talking about giving advice to the to nuns and to the Kay Hagans of the world, saying run away from him, don't run towards him. There's some disconnect, and I'm not getting where that disconnect is. If you all are feeling that he's very popular and his poll numbers are up, so I don't really get where there's some disconnect there, because right now, the smart money, if you will, the conventional wisdom in politics is saying run away from him. So why is it that Americans, not just African Americans, but Americans aren't getting that message if that clearly is where it
Huey, I don't think that there's not merit to what you're saying. I think that we are in a time frame right now. Timing is awful right now with several crises that are going on in the middle of a midterm election. We cannot ignore what is happening with ISIS. We cannot ignore what is happening with the Ebola outbreak. And people do not remember 3 weeks ago. They remember yesterday. So these polls that come out every single day, and depending on how much you trust the polling,
And who
right?
they're polling.
And who they're have you ever gotten a call
I've never got. I don't
being
know
polled?
anyone who's ever gotten polled.
I don't know anyone either.
No,
So
and that's why we have to really make sure that we're not getting off message and that we focus. You know, not only has there needs to be a strong narrative, there needs to be a consistent narrative all the time. Voting needs to become a habit in our community.
absolutely. Cornell, last word on the voting before we move on to the.
And let's be real here. Race. The president is a black man. He's been demonized and demagogued. And the point being here is his policies are extraordinarily popular.
That's perfect. We're going to leave it right there. Coming up are mandatory quarantines for healthcare workers who've had contact with Ebola patients in West Africa, helping or hurting the fight against the deadly virus. Season 5 winner of The Voice, Tessanne Chin, will talk about her phenomenal musical journey, and also you'll hear about marriage, divorce, music, and more in part 2 of our exclusive interview with R&B diva Chante Moore. Hit me up with your thoughts on Twitter at NewsOne or at Mo Ivory or on our NewsOne Facebook page. It is 9:19 after the hour. A 5-year-old in New York tests negative for Ebola, thank God. He recently visited West Africa and was taken to the hospital after he developed a fever. The patient being monitored at the University of Maryland Hospital in Baltimore, though, has tested negative also. Now, Casey Hickox, you know her, that feisty nurse who recently returned from Sierra Leone, was released from mandatory hospital quarantine after testing negative for the virus. In an effort to add clarity on how to proceed with people who have come in contact with Ebola patients, the CDC released new guidelines for workers returning from Ebola-ravaged countries. Those at the some risk level should monitor themselves for 21 days and report to their local health department. And those who cared for the sick without protective gear are considered high risk and should voluntarily be home quarantined. So what is the right course of action? I mean, it's just so much. And where is the Ebola czar, Ron Klain? Let's ask our panel, Cornell William Brooks, who is the president of the NAACP, Stephanie Brown James, CEO of Vestige Strategies, LLC, and Huey Newsome with Project 21. I'm loving this panel today, and we're having a fantastic conversation. Okay, it's like every day something new with Ebola. The CDC says, oh, now today it's this, now today it's this. There's Ebola czar that we have not seen. Where is the Ebola czar? And then there's just the patients and the citizens who are being sort of mushed around in, okay, well, today we're going to do this with you, and then today we're going to do this with you. And I have to say that I sort of loved the gumption of Casey Hickox, who said, hey, wait a minute. You know, like, you don't get to false imprison me because you can't figure out your policy. So what are we making of all of this, Cornell? I mean, this politicians or medical experts making policy?
At the end of the day, the CDC is taking a hit, but I trust the CDC as opposed to a group of governors making it up as they go. And the fact of the matter is, the NAACP is very clear. We believe in science-driven, not fear-based, it's a science-driven as opposed to a fear-based Ebola policy. And that means it's non-discriminatory, that it is focused on providing good care to people who need it. It does not punish healthcare workers who have been doing their jobs heroically and who are now coming back to this country. And so the idea that we are quarantining people willy-nilly, putting a nurse in an unheated tent on the back of a fly-as-you-go kind of policy is simply irrational. And the other part of this that I'm a little concerned about is this notion that we're responding, or I should say, we're unwittingly creating a disease demographic as opposed to responding to the disease itself.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we got to be careful. So when we have a governor referring to countries in West Africa as suspect nations, that's dangerous language.
It's very dangerous, and there's a total racism, discriminatory underlying theme happening in this Ebola crisis. And so, Stephanie, where's President Obama on this policy? And you know, when the macho governors, that's what I call them, in New York and New Jersey, decided on a Friday morning, this is what we're doing in our airports with no oversight, the president came back and said, hey, we need to be really careful about. What were your thoughts on President Obama's role in all of this?
Well, I think the bad news is that this has really been a hot mess from a number of perspectives, from the response of CDC, from the state governors, and even from the administration, who really was a little bit late, it felt like, to the field as it relates to making sure we had a handle on what the response was going to be. I actually think that this is a situation where it's great to have an Ebola czar, but hopefully that person is going to be very much in concert with the public health community. I think that this is a situation where we need to see governors and federal officials and health professionals who are coming together at the table along with leaders in the community to say, look, this is the best course of action for us moving forward so that we can make sure that we're not overreacting, that we are treating people who come to the country with Ebola and preventing any future outbreaks.
Huey, is it a case of the effect of the Ebola virus coming into the United States is happening so fast that our legislators and our professional public health officials can't keep up with what's happening, or is it just that they're not doing their jobs?
Which is troubling, right? Because you'd expect to have someone that will be prepared for such an event, right? Before the outbreak even took place in the Western African nations. You know, the whole idea of an Ebola czar always confused me, because we have so many organizations, so many bureaucracies that are supposed to either, at some level, focus on these types of outbreaks, but now we add another bureaucracy, another office, and so the coordination is even more difficult. So I never got that piece of it. But again, you know, going back to my days as an engineer, you always engineer to the worst case. As long, you know, you always make sure that you manage to the worst case. So at some level, you have to make sure that you're protecting the general public, right? And the delay in putting together this restriction, what troubles me is CDC waited till after the New York and Governor Christie and Governor Cuomo made this move. So what that's saying to me is that we're doing it because two other officials decide to do it, not based on what our research shows, what our policies show, what dictate. And that troubles me because it's completely reactionary.
Yeah, Cornell, yesterday when I saw that it possibly could have been a little 5-year-old black boy in the Bronx, I'm from the Bronx, that could have come through the airport with 103-degree fever, vomiting, and then sent home to the Bronx. I thought, oh, you know what? Ebola racism is about to break out for real if this little boy ends up becoming test positive for Ebola. So when I, found out that he was negative, I did a collective sigh for many reasons. Like, yay that he's not going to be an Ebola patient, but yay for what that was going to mean if he ended up becoming positive and having Ebola. So what are the implications of sort of like the racial battle that seems to be brewing underneath this Ebola crisis?
Well, I mean, we have to be extraordinarily careful here. I mean, we're talking about a small group of nations in West Africa. And we commonly hear in the news that this is an African disease.
Sure, like the whole continent of Africa.
As in the whole continent.
That's just geography and ignorance.
Geography and ignorance with profound racial implications. The other part of this is this notion that this disease, which has affected thousands of people, not tens of thousands of people, not hundreds of thousands of people. This winter, more people will die from the common flu than have died from Ebola. And so the point being is we have to put this in perspective, and we have to respond in a rational and non-racist way.
Thank you. You seem to be able to sum up those points oh so well. That is, I guess, the reason why you're the president of the NAACP. Really enjoyed this panel this morning. Coming up, Season 5 winner of The Voice, Tessie and Chin, joins us to talk about her new music and more. Plus, R&B diva Chante Moore gets sassy on stage with her fans and breaks down marriage and divorce during part 2 of our exclusive interview. Hit me up with your thoughts on Twitter at NewsOne or at Mo Ivory or on our NewsOne Facebook page. It's 31 after the hour.
Would I marry me? Not right now. Me's not ready. Me is not ready to be anybody's wife. I'm a good girlfriend, though.
Regardless of the critics, Chante Moore is keeping it sassy, classy, and confident. In part 2 of our exclusive interview series, the R&B diva breaks it down on music, marriage, divorce, and how she's making her own money. Check this out.
Ooh, yeah. All right. You have some verb. And is the band in the front monitors? Great. You guys are good.
I love it that I love my band. They're my friends and my family. That's the best part, is that we enjoy each other. They're so talented. And we have a really good time together. We have fun.
Okay, so this album is very autobiographical. If you want to know what happened the last 5 years, go get the record.
I love love, because that's what my music is talking about. It's about love and passion and joy and sadness and heartbreak and restoration and rediscovering who I am. Every album is about a chronicle of my life or the moment that I am in. And I'm sensitive, and I think that's what my music reveals. But I'm also very strong, which I think my music also reveals.
I've been a fan of hers for years. Years. This is 2 generations right here.
She's an awesome singer and one of my idols.
Seeing people smile is my favorite part. I think hearing them sing and being excited about their favorite song being sung. I like having the spontaneous singing, even though I don't be remembering the words to my song.
No, I can't remember the words. It's been a long time.
But some stuff ain't in the show. You can't sing every single song, so I like singing little pieces. But it's been a long time. I've been in the business since I was 12. And so, you know, I forget the song.
I forgot the words again.
So that's okay. As long as they're okay with the piece of song I'm singing, then I'm good. Then I'm good.
So listen. So, I have a whole lot of room, but I get like 3 men, just 3.
I like when the guys are like shy, but they come out a little bit, but then they're like tripping a little bit because they're excited because it's me, but then they're not tripping because it's me because they're having a good time. That's the best. That makes me have more fun with them. I love it. Every single person that comes to every show, that buys every record, that gets inspired by whatever song it is, whether it be when they were in college, whether it was the first song or that I sang or the last song on the last album. It doesn't matter who it is. It really matters that they support and that they're still here with me. I count it really a blessing to be able to do what I love. Honestly, I really don't take it lightly, not even for a second, because I know it could be over, but instead it's there she is, and we're here, and they're excited, and I'm excited, and I get excited and nervous, and then as soon as I get out there, it's fun.
The downside of doing a song that's not on this current record is that we don't point the sales back to the album. There's always a gamble when you put a single out, regardless.
Through my career, if I've ever had a regret, it has been that I've not taken enough risks. Sometimes the hustle is on and you're busy, you're chasing something sometimes, and I don't know if it's about having a hit record or if it's about having my money work for me. I'll go in the doors the Lord opens for me, you know? I am releasing a book. It's called Will I Marry Me? And it's more of a self-help book, personal revelations kind of books. And really it's about just looking within yourself and finding your truth. Because I think a lot of times we look for other people to make us feel whole, make us feel loved, and we try to have a list of what we want out of a man. And so we get stuck on looking outward to find that person, and we are not that person that anybody's looking for sometimes. And I think that it's most important to make sure that you are, if you stepped outside of yourself and looked at you, would you marry you? Do you have what it takes? Would you say, if you looked at you on paper, that, oh, she's a good catch? I promise to be patient with myself and make a better choice for a lifetime. Would I marry me? Not right now. Me's not ready. Me's not ready to be anybody's wife. I'm a good girlfriend, though.
I write songs about love and relationships and having a man and all that stuff. Oh, but I don't have one. That's okay, because if I want one, hello.
Quite a journey in my love life and the non-love life. I'm learning I have to change my own reality, make life what I want it to be. I've given control to too many people in my life before. I'm not gonna do it again. I wanna, reestablish my life, because it's been a very tough 6 years. So I've had divorce and moving and you know, just upheaval, and things are just starting to settle, and I'm rediscovering who I am as a woman. And being a single parent again, that's a whole nother something, and I didn't intend to be in the place I'm in. But then again, all things work together for your good, so I'm learning more and more about myself. I'm happier than I've ever been. Wait a minute. No, there was one time I was happier than this. But it's a good place, you know, because sometimes tough things they always teach me a lesson. And I'm learning lots of lessons.
I just want to be myself, but anytime I say anything or do anything, it feels like it's just some kind of a thing. And I am too old for that.
The good, the bad, the ugly, on, off, happy, sad, whatever it is. You may not like me, but it's me. It is me all the time. I try to be authentically myself. On stage, I'll be this person right now on stage, and I'll be this person at home with my family. And if there was one word for me, I would describe me as love. Because I'm strong and I'm resilient and I keep trying.
I love that interview. Actress and director Angela Bassett is getting a lot of criticism for her involvement in the Lifetime-produced Whitney Houston biopic. Members of the late singer's family, including her mother, Cissy Houston, have complained Bassett knows nothing about Houston and hasn't consulted with them to learn more. Bassett, who'd worked with Houston on the film Waiting to Exhale, defended her decision to direct the movie, telling the Huffington Post, "I know about being a woman, about being a black woman that came up in a little hometown, and yet you are able to become a success because of this God-given gift or talent. So I know a little bit about what it might have been like." And that's Angela Bassett. Now, coming up, the beautiful and talented singer Tess Ann Chin talks about her musical journey, The Voice, and more next. Hit me up with your thoughts on Twitter at NewsOne or at Mo Ivory, or on our NewsOne Facebook page. It's 43 after the hour. Singer Frank Ocean turns 27. Love Frank Ocean. Comedian Cheryl Underwood turns 51. And actress, okay, can you hear me now? Okay, that's much better. Okay, so Frank Ocean, and we're having a little bit of difficulty here. All right, we'll just start all the way over. Frank Ocean, happy birthday. You turned 27. And comedian Cheryl Underwood turns 51. And actress and singer Thelma Hopkins, most recently known for her role on Half and Half, turns 66 years old. On this day in history, in 1981, Edward McIntyre is elected the first black mayor of Augusta, Georgia. And in 1992, actor Bill Cosby makes a bid to buy NBC to protect the images of black people on television. Go Bill Cosby. Now, when Jamaican singer Tess Ann Chin took the stage during The Voice Season 5's blind auditions, she blew the judges away and the audience as well. She dominated each round and ultimately went on to win the entire competition. Here she is in action. Gosh, I love it. I loved her. So I was in my living room, like every time you hit those notes, I loved it. Welcome everybody, Tess Ann Chin. I was so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes, and that dress.
I
Girl, that dress is gorgeous. But I was so proud of you because not only did you represent for women and for how beautiful you were, your hair, your jewelry, you know, your country, it just made me say, if she does not win, there's going to be some online protesting going on because I really thought you were fabulous, and I'm so happy to meet you.
I'm so happy to
you are
meet
so
you
beautiful
too.
in person as well.
you.
So what
Thank
was
you.
it like? What was it like?
It was just an incredible feeling, and it's a feeling I hope everybody at some part in their life gets to feel, because they deserve to feel that, you know, and just a mixture of joy and what? And of course, you know, this whole year has been nothing short of just amazing. Absolutely.
So what was the catalyst for saying, you know, I'm going to try out and audition for The Voice, and how did that all happen?
My dear friend Shaggy, who is also a respected musician.
Yeah, of course.
You know, Shaggy and I collaborated a lot on stuff back in Jamaica, particularly stuff for charities, and he kind of knew where my heart was, and he knew that I wanted to have an international career and I wanted to sing, like not just one specific type of music, but sing. And he said to me, you know, Tess, I think this would be a great opportunity for you. And I was very apprehensive at first because I was like, I don't know, but I had nothing to lose.
Yeah,
you know? So
and
thank
everything
God.
to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything to win. So
Thank
what was
God.
that process? So Shaggy said you should do it. You said I want to do it. So did you go online and figure out where they were going to be? How did you do that?
Well, there was an audition in Miami, and we went to Miami and we did the audition, and there are actually like about 3 or 4 processes to actually get to the blind audition, in which they just take the time to really prepare you for the weight of that if you get to that place. And you know, they were so nurturing, and they made it such a very safe place for us to be able to that, because there's no doubt, you know, times when you kind of feel, oh my God,
Right, can I do this?
you
Or
know,
do they think I'm good? All of that, right?
Or you just feel like, I don't know.
Right. Well, you certainly fit the image and everything because you're absolutely beautiful. What was the moment that you thought, I could win this?
Oh Lord, you know, because we had such we had tough competition that year, and you know, between Will and Jackie and even people that came before, it was just, I don't think anybody, at least I didn't really feel like, oh, I have this in the bag, because you just never know. You never know how people are going to vote. But I remember thinking at the last part of this song, and particularly when Carson announced, who was about to announce, just, you know, whatever will be, let it
just
be.
said that inside prayer,
Yeah,
like,
just
Lord, whatever will be.
Will be, because after you've had moments like this and getting to sing with people like Celine Dion and work with people like Adam Levine, how can you walk away saying you've lost?
Right.
You know?
Sure.
So I was happy.
Oh my gosh.
One way or the other.
You know, there's something about that Jamaican accent that makes you immediately want to be best friends with her and take her around to all your friends and be like, this is my friend Tess. Because it is just so calming and your spirit is so relaxed. And where do you get your style and all your, you know, sort of training from?
Do you know what? Style-wise, I have to big up my stylist back at home, Carrie Clark, who, you know, really took me under her wing before even The Voice and taught me a lot. Because to me, my idea of getting ready for a show was washing my hair, putting on some G's and a nice top.
A little lip gloss and be
little
gone,
lip
right?
gloss. So, you know, she really, between her and my sister, they kind of helped to, you know, groom me.
Yes, well.
But also I think, you know, it has a lot to do with you as a person, and I realized that about fashion and about style. And for me, I know this is probably not the most fashionable thing to say, but comfort. I have to be comfortable. I can't be thinking, oh, is this, I need to fix that, I need to pull this up, and, you know, so for me, that's a big thing. If you're comfortable and you feel like you look good, it will show, and you don't have to think about it.
I have so much more to talk to you about, so we're going to have a whole nother segment with Tess because she's just so comfortable and making me so comfortable, and we're going to keep on talking. I'm Mo Ivory, and this is NewsOne Now, and we're going to come back more with Tess Anchin, who is the winner of The Voice 5 and just a wonderful spirit, and we're going to talk about her culture and how she got started in the music industry and all of that, and it's 54 after the hour.
Heaven knows my heart, and all that it's been thinking.
So excited to be back with The Voice Season 5 winner Tess Sanchin. She's so comfortable in her own skin. That's what makes it so great, because it's been quite a whirlwind since she's become the winner, and it's just fabulous how she's handling it all. Let's talk about your new song, Heaven Knows.
Yes.
So, you know, did you help write that song? Tell me all about how it became.
I had such a ball writing with Claude Kelly and his entire team and Chuck Harmony, and this is actually a remix produced by Lil C. So I'm very proud of it. It's a song that is just love. You know, it's about that, and it's about, you know, not being able to find the words every time to say how much I love you, how much I appreciate you, but you know, heaven know that this is how I feel for you.
Oh,
you know?
that is so beautiful. So are you working on an album, or is your album almost done?
Our album is out. It's been out since July 1st. It's called Count on My Love, and it's available on iTunes.
Okay, awesome. And so what do you do a lot of your own writing, and what are the sort of the themes? Is it a lot about your experiences in your life? What is that about?
I love to write. I love to write, and I think, you know, that's one thing I was very blessed about on this project, is that, you know, even though these people are like Grammy Award winning writers, they allowed me to have to take part in the process. And even with the album title track, Count on My Love, I remember sitting down with Toby Gad and Jeff and Lil Eddie and them talking to me about where I was, and at that time everything was just so crazy. We'd just come off, and then I literally had like a couple of days at home to say hi,
and that was it, pack your clothes and go, right?
Writing, and you know, we just started writing the lyrics, and Count on My Love, what it's about is about, you know, being away. You know, I'm a married woman. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister, and you know, being away so much, of course, it takes its toll. But you have to know that you can count on your love, on the love of your family, your husband. You know, all those things, and that's why I thought it was such a fitting album title, because this is what this whole album is about. It's about love
and about the experience.
About the experience, good, bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
The love of
it's hard to believe there would be any ugly, but it is the music industry.
It's life. It's life. We go through the good times and the bad times, but we have to know that they're, you know, there are things that we can count on.
That is wonderful. And so you're going to be performing tonight?
Yes, at the Hamilton.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, tell us all about that. It's the Hamilton Restaurant.
Yes, we're doing like an acoustic vibes show. We just came from New York, and it was just awesome. We did a sold-out show there, and I believe tonight is also sold out. I'm not sure, don't quote me. But I'm very, very happy, and just to be able to do this every day, to be able to wake up. Oh my gosh, I was on the tour bus last night. I was like, is this real?
Right, this is my life now.
It's like a full circle moment.
It's a dream.
Yes, the first time I went on a tour bus with Mr. Jimmy Cliff, and I remember thinking, I want to do this one day.
For yourself.
Thank you, Lord, I'm here.
Oh, that's so fantastic. And tell everybody how they can reach you, how they can get your album,
you can get me. Please go and download the album on iTunes. You can find me on Twitter at Tessan. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram at The Best Tess. Look me up. I want to hear from you. Love you. Thank you for the support.
I have so enjoyed talking to you, and I'm going to come out tonight and hear you. I cannot wait. You're so beautiful, and you're just awesome to talk to. Everybody, support Tess Sanchin, because it's rare that you find an artist that is good in music and good in person and believes in love, and I love that about her. So we're going to support Tess Sanchin, and you have all her information. Tomorrow on NewsOne Now, it's Wild Out Wednesday. Some crazy comedians will be in the house bringing the funny. Be sure to go to newsone.com for more stories and updates. You can follow me on Twitter at Mo Ivory, or friend us on the NewsOne Facebook page. Roland's back with you tomorrow. Thank you so very much for having me as your guest co-host. Have a wonderful Tuesday afternoon.